Yes. Please stand. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. We thank you for everyone here and those that are watching online. We pray for continued well-being and good health for all of our citizens, and ask that you watch over us, those that are traveling home, and give us traveling graces. We thank you for all the blessings that you continue to bestow on us as a nation and as a tribal council. It is our honor to serve our people. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, Shelley, can you do roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mike Shambaugh.
Here.
Harley Buzzard. Here. Keith Austin. Here. Joe Bird. Julia Coates. Here. Sean Crittenden. Here. Joe Deere. Mike Dobbins. Here. Kanan Duncan. Rex Jordan. Here. Darrell Legg. Here. Wes Snowfire. Here. Dora Petzkowski. Here. Mary Baker Shaw. E.O. Smith. Here. Janice Taylor. Here. Victoria Vasquez. We have a quorum.
Okay, if you've had a chance to look over the minutes, could I have a motion? Second? Have a second? All right, having a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Speakers here. All right. First up, Jennifer Kirby, Human Services. And I believe we have everybody in person for this committee here today. So for the first time in a long time, it's good to have you, Jennifer.
Good afternoon. I wanted to say also I have Lou Stretch on the virtual. I know we had some technical difficulties last time with the ICW representative, so if there's any questions, I'll let you indicate if whenever she needs to come on. But you have our report, and I'll take any questions you have on the report.
Does anybody have any questions for Jennifer? Go ahead, Darrell.
Jennifer, is there a timeline or any idea of when our nutrition centers are going to start being able to serve food again?
We're kind of taking it in just increments. I would say probably looking towards late summer, more towards maybe school time next year. We're kind of working towards that right now.
Anybody else?
I just have a comment.
Okay, Speaker.
Jennifer, I just want to commend you for taking on an enormous task of the vacancy that was left from our former director there. And this new program that came along, I called one time to check on one of our constituents to see where they were in line. And you guys received over 25,000 applicants. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was 30.
30,000.
Wow.
And that was something that we really didn't anticipate. That's in addition to what you were already doing and all the requests and demands that we had for you. So, you know, we'll take some of the blame for that to all of a sudden have 30,000 applicants come at you. And we didn't add any more to your staff, I don't think.
No, and you know, we're a really good team, a really close team, and none of us could do it without the other. So it's the whole team effort. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We appreciate all that you've done. Now, question: out of that 30,000, how many are left?
We have about 900.
We have 900 left.
Yeah, probably a little over 900.
That is really, really good. So thank you for that information, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Kanan?
Jennifer, I just wanted to kind of echo what Speaker Byrd said. You know, you probably don't hear a lot of good remarks about everything that went on. There's some negativity out there, but you guys are awesome. You did a great job. Helped more Cherokees than we've ever helped before. On top of already helping them through existing programs that we send to you. I know you're sick and tired of seeing my name pop up on your email. but that we send multiple to you each day. I appreciate you and Lisa James as well. She's a super hard worker as well, and all your staff. You guys have done a great job. Just want to say thanks.
Thank you.
EO?
While we're talking here, I'd like to say something about the food distribution. You know, with all the handouts we've had, the numbers at the food distribution still went up quite a bit. I don't know what percentage, but every one of them's up.
Yeah.
And as a councilman, I'm not getting very many calls, complaints on that, and the handle has went up quite a bit. In fact, I've actually had some people bragging on them, so I just wanted to shout out to the food distribution people. I appreciate what all they're doing.
Yeah, and they're, you know, they were essential staff. They've been here through it all. Very much commended for all their work. And yeah, I think people, there were adjustments to the different ways we had to do things, but I think everybody got used to it, and yeah, our numbers are growing, so.
I just want to say it's really been good. I'm so glad that 2 or 3 years ago, we were getting complaints almost every day.
Yeah.
And I've turned it around, and it's great.
Yeah, thank you. I'll let
Thank
them
everybody
know.
who works it. Of course, I'm partial to food distribution, but I think it's one of the most overlooked, better programs that we have in the nation. So, thank you.
I'll say whenever I first got involved with that program, I had no idea all the work that goes into that. I was clueless, and I say that a lot to Leah and her team, that I still have no idea how much the intricacy of that whole program, so thank you.
Anybody else? Does anybody have any questions for Lou Stretch and ICW? Mary Baker Shaw? I guess I should have checked before. Lou, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Lou. Lou, I saw in the report here on Indian Child Welfare, the efficient and effective work, it's the average response to notice time, and it doesn't say what that is. Can you tell me?
Right now, it is, well, I don't say right now, but as of this last report, it was 115 days. And the reason for that is because during COVID, and we had everyone working remotely, most of my eligibility workers worked in areas where there was absolutely no internet, and also very difficult to even find a system to get internet into their homes. And so we did lose some time there, and we also needed more staff in there for quite some time, but we just got our reorg on March 14th, and so we had been unable to hire. I'm very happy to say we have hired 3 additional staff since then. They're in the process of training, and this last month they did 1,400 responses in 1 month. But that said, training kind of also slows down our really proficient workers because they're helping the other ones to learn. I see us decreasing that number, but it'll be slow. Even after the 1,400 responses, our average number of days out right now is 110. So that's how little impact that had.
Wow. Lou, I was shocked that we had that many cases of neglect on the report. I want to know, how many children are returned to the home when you see child neglect or child sex trafficking or sexual abuse? Are these kids returned to their homes? What's involved in that?
Well,
What is it?
really, most of the time, the underlying problem in almost all of our cases, not all of them, but most of them, is substance abuse. And those are, unfortunately, the results of substance abuse sometimes is neglect. And one thing that is true is more children die of neglect than they do any of the other types of child abuse. And neglect can be very, very serious. Kids can starve to death, be, killed by accident because somebody's not watching them. There's just some very bad results of child neglect. But the underlying cause, the majority of time, is substance abuse. And with substance abuse, unfortunately, very little over 50% can actually be returned home. It's a very difficult problem to overcome.
So if we have a child who's been sexually abused, how long does it take before they are returned home? Is that the goal, to return them home?
The goal always in ICW is reunification unless a judge finds otherwise. And it does require, the judge will order an assessment, and from that assessment, we're able to do a case plan and work with these families. I would say sexual abuse is probably a very low reunification rate, but there's a lot of different levels of sexual abuse. And so, and every case is so very different. It might be that the sexual abuser is a third-party perpetrator, not even residing in the home, but mom or dad failed to protect. And so that sexual abuse case is going to be worked very differently, where we have a sexual abuse case that is a capital crime and they're in court facing charges of criminal sexual abuse. And so the same as any other category of child abuse, it's the level is very broad. And so it's hard to be generalized about, how many return home and how many don't, because there's just different situations that happen. And if the other parent, let's say there is a sexual abuser in a household, and the other parent is aware of that sexual abuse, that's a lot different situation than the other parent was not aware it was going on and steps up to protect. And of course, we're going to ensure that that is sincere and that child is safe to return with that parent, but they're also going to have to take steps to ensure the safety of that child before we're going to send it back home. And it might even go back home during the investigation and never go into custody. But there's as many scenarios as there are cases.
I guess I just want to make sure our youngest Cherokee citizens are being protected to the extent possible. By the
Yes.
way, is there counseling in in all of these cases?
Majority of them, yes.
Okay, and do we advertise for foster homes?
Yes, we recruit foster homes, actually. We have a lot of events. Been kind of difficult recruitment environment with COVID and not having groups to go to and set up tables and actively recruit. But we've had two very successful virtual events, and they were well attended, and did some door prizes and had a, like Wheel of Fortune kind of a thing going. And really, we got some really good hits on that. Just had to change the way we did business.
Okay, Lou, I sure appreciate you being available to report to us. Thank you so much. That's all my questions today, but I sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman No Fire?
Hey, Lou, I'm glad you're
Sorry.
you're with us today. Good to hear from you, as always. Just kind of a couple of things that I kind of wanted to address or maybe bring up that you might be able to clue us in on a little bit of how we might be able to help ICW a lot, because I know you guys are dealing with seemingly a lot of difficulty in trying to make sure we have enough staff, because we do see a high volume of kids entering the system and families entering the system, and so there's a lot of policies to follow, and I know one of them, I've heard a couple of instances of citizens calling and saying, hey, I've been charged with child neglect, even though I was the one reporting a crime that happened to my child, and it's because I wasn't there when it happened. I now have to deal with being a mother or a grandmother that's reported that case, now having to deal with the fact that there's a neglect situation here. And so some of the services like One Fire that might deal with a mother who's dealing with a domestic abuse or going through trauma herself because an abuse happened with a step parent or something like that, and they're being now charged with that child neglect. So they're not able to afford those services through One Fire because they also receive damages too. So some of those gaps that can happen trying to protect these children also ends up with one of the parents or a couple people in the family that may need help and counseling, is where I think maybe if there was a possibility to help create maybe an advisory board to help out all of the caseworkers with all their daily work, to come back to, because it's a lot. You guys deal with a lot. The families have to go through a lot. Foster families have to deal with a lot. You know, they're going through seeing children come in and out of their homes as under foster care and have to see the children come through difficult circumstances, watch them leave and then come back. And that takes an emotional toll on those foster families. So in my mind, from what I've talked with citizens about, and also some of the employees, just the struggling atmospheres, is there a way that we could kind of help make a board possibly in ICW? I don't know, do you think that might help out with all your work that you guys undergo, is something that kind of helps facilitate?
It would be very, very difficult with the confidentiality issues that arise, but we're also in a pretty good place, Wes. I'll tell you, well, for one thing, if a relative actually got charged with child abuse, that had to be confirmed through investigation. So I don't know the specifics of that situation, but regardless of who is doing the abusing, that is something we have to protect the children from. But we're also very fortunate that we're right now in the middle of doing a planning of something called the Family's First Transitional Act and Kinship Navigator. They're kind of hand in hand, but they will allow us, whenever that they get fully in place, to provide services to relatives instead of only the biological parents. And I think that's going to be a big step forward. And, we want kids with families. That's one of our goals, is to get kids with families. But there's also a lot of really restrictive rules about where a child can be placed and background checks. And we can't risk putting a child somewhere where that we cannot feel like they're safe. But this particular group of money could possibly make some leeway for some services that might prevent those situations where children get removed from relatives, because it's just such a struggle. It is a struggle. It's hard to deal with the trauma sometimes that children endure. Some of the families are not prepared to deal with that. And sometimes they're struggling to take care of their own and not looking at other relatives coming in. So I really feel like there's something getting in place that's going to really help those families.
Okay. Yeah, well, that sounds good. You know, I just was kind of offering any sort of advice that we could do as a council to help out the department. I'll talk with you offline about the couple of cases, more specific that I know about, as far as where maybe some help could be added to that. But yeah, awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Wes.
Hey, Lou, this is Kanan. So I just had a kind of a suggestion off of a situation I ran into, and you may have already thought about it, but so not to get into too many specifics, but I had a family that one of the person's brothers was out of town. Mom couldn't take care of a kid. Kid got taken away from him. So the child was placed with the aunt and uncle kind of unexpectedly, but aunt and uncle are real great people, so they took the child in, which they have small children of their own, kind of puts a financial burden upon them. And they weren't actually asking for any help, but it just kind of made me think, in situations like that where a foster or temporary placement situation isn't really planned, maybe if we could look into any type of incentive to help kind of relieve that or help out, because I know it's got to be tough on families like that.
Well, the way funding comes down, at this time, we couldn't do any type of stipend, but there could be, if it went through the court, possibly something once the Kinship Navigator goes into place. But there is some, if a family was in that situation and they perhaps needed furniture, bed or something like that, that is something we might be able to help with if they contacted us and we know about the situation and they let us know what they needed.
Perfect.
There's some supports we could help.
They just need to talk.
Not stipend at this time.
They just need to contact the caseworker, I guess.
Yes, if there's a caseworker involved, that's the best person to go through.
Thank you, Lou.
Okay, thank you.
Lou, this is Councilman Legg. I had a gentleman call me this morning in Salisaw, and I think his grandchild is in foster care somewhere in Fort Smith. And he said he thinks that they may be going up for adoption, wasn't sure, but he was just like, do we have rights as grandparents to see our grandkids? And he didn't know who to call. If I gave you his contact number, could somebody from your office give him a call?
I could.
Thank you so much.
If I can find the ink pen, or would you just provide that to me later?
What was that again?
If you could just provide that to me later or text me or something?
You bet. I'll email you right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Lou? Okay, Lou, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Michael Lynn, you're up.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You guys have a copy of our report, but I just want to highlight a few things if I could, Mr. Chair. Just a few of the road projects we've got going on. The Northeast Fort Gibson project is approximately 90% complete. The contractor's just completing some punch list items on that job, and we'll be getting it finalized out soon and scheduling it for a ribbon cutting. Hulbert Lost City Road, or Grace Hudlin Road in Cherokee County. They're currently building detours for a box culvert replacement, so they're getting those built so they can close the road, the existing road for the culvert replacement. Mud Valley Road, also in Cherokee County, there's in the right-of-way acquisition process, as I've reported in the past, but I wanted to kind of give you a little more detail. There's 77 parcels total. 2 of those have been acquired. 7 of them are pending, what we call pending acquired. Which means there may be missing a document or 2 that needs to get signed before they're officially acquired. 44 offers have been made to landowners, and the remaining 24 are awaiting review appraisal work, and we expect that to be done very soon. Craig County, the White Oak project, about 50% complete. They've got about 8,000 feet of paving down on the southern end of it, and they're completing the earthwork. They're building this project in phases due to the way that it's kind of laid out. So they're doing completing the earthwork now on phase 2 and getting ready for ag base. Mays County, the Chimney Rock Hollow project is about 10 to 15% completed, but they're also getting ready to start the culvert box construction. The Dwight Mission Road project in Sequoia County, drove through there the other day. It's about 50% completed. They've got some asphalt down with ag base on the remainder of the project. Project looks good, and it is on schedule. So, moving on, Mr. Chair, to our Water and Sanitation Department, just a couple of things here. The Cherry Tree Rural Water System, I had mentioned last month, I think during the Rules Committee meeting, that where the Man Killer Soap Water Act was passed, that we had already started the analysis of that water district. That analysis has been submitted to DEQ, and we're waiting on final approval from them. So we do expect that soon. We did hold a ribbon cutting in Sequoia County at the Sequoia County Water Association water treatment plant. Cherokee Nation contributed a little over $850,000 to a 24-inch water line that runs from that plant to the city of Vian, replacing an old 12-inch line, about 54,000 feet of this 24-inch line, and made a great improvement. They were going on and on during that ribbon cutting about the cooperative project between the nation and the water district, as well as how it helped and benefited tremendously during the cold snow and ice storm that we had recently. And lastly, Mr. Chair, I just want to clarify a couple things that were mentioned, if I could, during the Rules Committee meeting on March 15th, when you guys were looking at the Man Killer Soap Water Act. There was some discussion in here about our policies in the Water and Sanitation Department, and I just want to say there's probably some misconception or miscommunication, I guess, on some of our policies. I've got a copy of the policy right here. There was, I think, once one was mentioned that the home must be 90% completed before you could apply or before any work would be done, and that's not mentioned in the policy at all. I'll read the policy. It says, new construction must be substantially complete before sanitation facilities are installed. A sanitation facility inspector will verify the construction progress before services are provided. And there was a lot of good discussion last month, and I think Councilor Buzzard brought to light it's that substantially completed is in there to protect our investment. As Councilor Buzzard mentioned, we don't want to go out there and make a significant improvement on somebody's property if they're never going to build there. So we want to see a slab, we want to see it dried in, and we also would like to see roughed-in plumbing and electrical is what we consider substantially complete. We've never said it's got to be a percentage because substantially complete is a bit subjective, but we'll send an inspector out there to look at it before we provide any service and identify whether or not, this construction, this home construction is going to go on through. One thing that I want to point out and to tell your constituents, you can't apply too early. You can apply if you're just considering building a home. We currently have 83 applications approved where the home construction has not been started at all. You really can't come see us too early, but you can come see us too late. And I think that's what a lot of these are, is people coming and requesting services or getting halfway through their build and realizing, oh, we don't have a mechanism for sewer or water. Let's go visit Cherokee Nation. And I'm not saying that's happening all the time, but I think that's happening more than we like. So if they can come early, we'll get them in the system, they get in the queue, get approved, and then again, once they get ready for that service, we'll send an inspector out and take a look at things before we start the construction. Mr. Chair, that's all I have to report.
You have a question, Sean?
Mr. Lynn, can you read it, electrical, plumbing, what was the other things you mentioned?
We say dried in, which, is going to be sheathing on the
Sheathing out.
outside and the roof, and rough plumbing and rough electrical.
Okay, so that may be something to let a home builder know to, by golly, get that done faster, right?
That's true.
And hey, also, ODOT, now, how close do we work with them, or do we work with them quite a bit, or not very much, or?
Quite a bit, yes, sir.
Okay, and with all of this stuff going on with McGirt, and do you think we may have a more substantial seat at that table in discussions of roads and, like the one we discussed the other day? The one where some of the constituents weren't too happy.
Yes.
That they were putting in this road. And I'm not at a point where I don't think most of them are either, where you'd want to fight it, but do you see our seat at the table being any better down the road, or do we already have that good working relationship where if there come a time where enough Cherokees and your department were, hey, this is not a great idea, would they listen to us or consider us? Or?
I certainly think they would, based on our relationship in the past. We have always had an excellent working relationship. In fact, the state statute sets out what they call a tribal advisory board, Oklahoma Department of Transportation Tribal Advisory Board. And I currently chair that board.
Hey.
And we meet with them quarterly. They tell us what's going on, and we tell them, what we've got going on. We work together. It's been a very, very good working relationship. Now, is that going to change based on recent decisions? I don't know. I would hope not.
Right.
I don't expect it to, but you never know. This body did ask us to take a look at putting entering Cherokee Nation reservation signs coming in on the state highway system and interstate system. And we have touched base with ODOT about it, and we've gotten a little bit of hesitancy. Let me put it that way, a little bit of hesitancy. They haven't moved on it yet. We do hope that they move on it and work with us to get those signs up, because I know they're important to you all, and they're important to me, and they're important to the Cherokee citizens. I don't see it declining.
If that were ever come, like I said, I don't think this situation's there, but what would you suggest the citizens just send you a letter of their concern of the situation for a particular project, or?
I mean, they could certainly do that, and what we would do, that's not our project.
Right.
We don't have any skin in the game. But what we would do is we could contact ODOT, which we did when you first brought it to our attention. We contacted and kind of find out what was going
Yeah.
on through there. But we could contact, if we had a little more information from that letter, we could contact our division office and maybe sit down with them and talk to them a little
Okay.
bit more in
Well,
detail.
That's good to know that we got a good relationship already.
Certainly. Yeah, we do.
Appreciate you.
You bet.
Thank you, Chair.
Carly?
Yes, I just want to follow up a little bit about what Councilor Crittenden had said, and Michael is absolutely right. Things have changed a little bit since Governor Stitt has taken over the governorship of Oklahoma. And what Michael had mentioned a while ago, the Tribal Advisory Board, used to work with ODOT. The ODOT director, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, the ODOT director used to work directly for the Board of Commissioners, the ODOT commissioners. And now the governor has put the ODOT director under his command. Am I saying that right?
Well, I think so, but one of the differences is the ODOT director is also the Secretary of Transportation. It's the same individual who, the Secretary of Transportation obviously does report to the governor.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so there's a little bit of change with the governor of Oklahoma to what ODOT means right now. I know years ago, and I think Michael still has a good relationship with them, but we used to have an excellent relationship with the ODOT people. But since this governor is there, things have changed a little bit on there, so we may see a little feedback on some of those projects. I'm thinking maybe, but maybe not. Maybe Michael can control that with his board up there, which I think he got a good chance of doing it. But anyway, I just want to put that out there, Michael, and make you aware. I'm sure you were, but I was aware of it here about 2 weeks ago. The other thing, Michael, I had to ask Andy, and I don't know how some of the other council members feel about it, but on your reports, I've requested that we have the project cost. And the reason I'm saying that is over in Councilor Crittenden's district, there's 2 or 3 projects, and those things may be worth $15 million. And it's just good information for him to know.
Okay.
Good information for Councilor Austin to know what's going on in his district. So, and I know you've got those.
Yes.
I mean, they're public records.
Sure.
You open the bids. So if we could do that, I think that would help us councilors a lot, because we could say, well, we put, $15 million in this district so far up here. So it just gives you a little leverage, I think, what we need to do. And we may also want to think about even the water and sanitation program.
okay.
Those projects are really expensive. Road projects and water and sanitation projects are a lot of money. And it's just good information that Councilor Legg can say, well, if some senator said, well, what are you doing? Well, we put $15 million worth of road projects in this district. So I think it's just good information.
Okay.
So if you would, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, we'll do that.
Thank you.
We'll get that added.
Thanks, sir.
Is anybody else? Joe Deere.
Just real quick, Mike, on signage, the Tulsa councilors and commissioners are going to reach out to you
Yes.
about that signage. They are getting the signs and all the sizing and everything, the one like it's on SkyTube. So they probably don't want to go that big, but they're going to reach out to you here pretty soon. And they're going to do the arterial streets and the different areas where Osage and Creek meet up. So
Nice.
just an FYI that's coming.
Very good. That'd be great.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mike.
Appreciate the heads up.
Anybody else? All right, Michael, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we are coming up on our 5 o'clock meeting, so from here on out, we're going to do reports only. Jerry Killer. Actually, we'll go till 5 and then we'll do reports only.
Good afternoon,
All
everyone.
right, Jerry, do you have anything for us, or you want to go straight to your report?
I do have one program that I would like to tell you all about very quickly. We have an emergency rental assistance program that we have recently kicked off. So if you have Cherokee renters who are behind due to COVID-related reasons, they had qualified for unemployment, we have a program that can help them. They will apply online on our website, which is www.hacn.org. That's where they will go to the application. We can pay their arrearages up to March of 2020 to current.
If you would you forward that information to Gail so she could get it to all of us?
Absolutely, will do.
Okay. Kanan.
Hey, Jerry, I was just going to ask, does that also work with folks that are renting from the Housing Authority?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Sean?
No, go ahead.
So, yeah, are they gonna announce that on the social media?
We can get
And
with
just-
Cherokee
just
Nation,
something
and
easily
have their
shared?
communications put it out, yes.
Guidelines, did you say?
There are income guidelines, and Cherokee tribal citizens, and they have to be a renter.
Wow. March 2020.
March of 2020, yes, we can do 12 months of rent.
Wow.
So arrearages, and then we could also do current up to 3 months, to
That's
combine
big
for
down
12
there,
months.
10 in
So
there. Thank you.
it's going to be
That's
really
big.
good considering, yes.
Hey,
Dr. Dobbins?
Jerry, you said rental assistance, what about mortgage assistance?
Right now, we're just doing renters. This money came down from U.S. Department of Treasury, and it is specifically for renters. We do anticipate possibly something for mortgage holders in the future, but right now, it's just for renters.
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Yes. Anybody else? Julia?
And so I'm presuming this is only for those who live within reservation boundaries, correct? Is that
They will get priority. State of Oklahoma may apply.
state of Oklahoma? may
State of
apply?
Oklahoma, yes, ma'am.
Wow, okay. Not outside Oklahoma?
No.
State of Oklahoma, though. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Boy, that's a heck of a program. I mean, there's so many good things going on, the nation's doing to help our people. That's awesome. That's just awesome. Anybody else? Just, Kanan, go ahead, ask that.
Sorry, I thought there was more to come, Jerry. Hey, I was just going to say, looking at the housing report, I want to make a comment on that. So, just like we do, this has been a horrendous year. It's made things super difficult. But actually, even before I looked through this housing report, I was talking with an inspector for the Housing Authority that I know very well, and we were talking about how great HACN has done in spite of 2021 and 2020. Some of the numbers or whatever may not actually, you may not be able to tell from looking at new home construction or whatever on that. But we've had not only COVID, but we've had terrible natural disasters this year. And the Housing Authority has been there every step of the way. And doing that on top of the emergency rehab and regular housing authority program applications that you've already had. And actually, personally, I think that things that we've implemented, or that you've implemented, like taking applications over the phone, it's sped things up. So actually, when those elders are having an emergency, it's made things go eons faster by doing that. And so I just want to tell you, this report is great, but you guys are doing an awesome job. And I appreciate you, Adair County appreciates you, and I think that's all I had. I made some notes after looking through this thing, but you guys have done great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And another, real quickly, how about our weekend emergency crew? Is it
Yes, we do
up
have
and going?
our after-hours emergency crew. They
Yes.
are up and running.
Awesome.
We are getting phone calls and applications going on that. So if you have people who are having those issues, nights, weekends, holidays, give us a call and we'll send someone out to take care of them.
And when you forward that information on the other, would you put that one in it too?
Yes,
All
absolutely.
right, that'll work. Anybody else? Hey, that's awesome. Good job. You guys are doing some good things for our people.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And a night. All right, because we're officially past our 5 o'clock hour, we're going to do by reports only,
Yes.
unless you
May I-
have something important to say, ma'am.
I would just like to say, if someone's behind on their mortgage, the majority of people qualified for up to 2 6-month forbearance periods, particularly if they have a federally backed mortgage. So if you have people that are behind on their mortgages, if they give us a call, we'll tell them how to access those programs. June is the deadline that they have to request the forbearance in. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Guidelines for that?
Just behind on your mortgage.
Cool. Could you actually send that information to Gail so she could get it to all of us too? Okay. Is there any questions for Anna? Good job, Anna. Thank you. Good things going on there too. All right. From the Veterans Center, Barbara Foreman, come on down. It's good to see you, ma'am. Did you have a report, or do you have something very important we need to know about?
You have my report from the Veterans Center. I have a couple additions to that, that I just need you to know some dates. Okay, so because we only report, quarterly, so May the 19th, we will be at a food outreach for veterans, Nowata, South Coffeyville, and then June 2nd will be the one we have in Tahlequah. So I just wanted to let you know those dates. And if you have any questions.
Will there be, that be on social media, or?
No. What we do with that is we call the veterans on our list.
Okay, I see.
To have them come through, and it's drive-through at all three places.
Okay, awesome. Does anybody have any questions for Barbara?
I do.
EO.
Where was the places? Was that Tahlequah or Salsa?
It's Tahlequah.
Tahlequah, okay.
And that was June 2nd, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. What time does it start?
Well, it's kind of funny because we tell people about 11, but if you're talking about Tahlequah, the staff and the workers go over and the volunteers at about 9:30-ish, but we have people lining up at 8 o'clock. But they do receive a phone call and know that they're, we call them a few days ahead, and so they know to come and get in line.
Anybody else? Barbara, thank you so much. It's good to see you. Good to have you here. Sorry we were pressed for time. I would like to have talked some more. All right. No old business, no new business. Are there any announcements? To my right? To my left? Okay, the next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Monday, April 10th at 4 p.m. Do I have a motion? Second? All right, we're done. Good job.